Everyone around you was being a kid, running around, laughing, not worrying about a thing, but you were scanning the room, watching, calculating, not because you wanted to, because someone had to. Maybe you were making dinner while your friends were making plans. Maybe you were reading your parents' mood before you could read a chapter book. If that sounds like your childhood, you're not broken. You're not too serious. You're not no fun. You just never got to be a kid. And there's actually a name for what happened to you. Psychologists call it pseudo-maturity. And a study of over 17,000 people explains exactly why it changed everything about the way you love, work, and rest as an adult to understand why you became this way. We need to go back to where it started. So let's start with what actually happened to you. In 1973, psychologists Boszormenyi-Nagy and Spark gave it a name: parentification. It's when a child is forced into the role of a caregiver, not because they volunteered, but because the system around them failed. And here's the thing: looking mature is not the same as being mature. Researcher Michael Newcomb called this pseudo-maturity, the outer shell of an adult, while the inner child never gets to finish growing. You learned to manage a household, but no one taught you to manage your own emotions. It's not maturity. It's survival wearing maturity's clothes. Now the science behind what this does to your brain. In 1998, researchers Felitti and Ander launched the ACE study, over 17,000 participants. What they found was a dose-response relationship. The more adverse childhood experiences, the higher your risk of depression, anxiety, even heart disease as an adult. 4 or more ACEs, your risk doubles, sometimes quadruples. And in 2023, Nature Neuroscience published something striking. Children who experienced early adversity showed altered connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, the part of your brain that detects threats. Your brain literally rewired itself to keep you safe. It never stopped scanning. Even now, even when you're safe. But what does that actually look like? What does it feel like to be 9 years old and already carrying the weight of an adult? Picture this. You're 9 years old. The house is quiet. That kind of quiet that means something is wrong. You can hear the clock ticking in the kitchen. Your little brother is hungry, and you already know no one else is coming. So, you climb onto the counter. You open the fridge. You find whatever's left, and you make something. You don't cry. You don't ask for help. You just handle it, because you already learned if you don't do it, no one will. And just like that, a child becomes an adult, not by choice, by necessity. Psychologists call the skills you built survival superpowers. But here's what makes this so confusing. These survival skills, they worked. You became the responsible one, the one everyone could count on, the one who never needed anything from anyone. Teachers loved you, bosses promoted you, friends leaned on you. Society looked at you and said, "What a mature, impressive person." And part of you believed it because it felt like a superpower. But here's where it gets complicated. Every superpower you built came with a price tag. That ability to read a room, it came from hypervigilance. That independence everyone admires. Psychologists call it hyperindependence. And it's not strength. It's a trauma response. It means you learned that the safest person to rely on is yourself, because everyone else let you down. And these patterns, they don't just stay in childhood. They follow you. So what does this look like when you're 30 or 40 or 60? In relationships, you're the one who gives always. You anticipate needs before anyone asks. You manage emotions, not just yours, but everyone else's in the room. Psychologist John Bowlby called what most people grow up with a secure base. The feeling that someone has your back, that no matter what happens, There's someone safe to return to. You never had that, so you built your own. Here's the thing about never having a secure base. You don't stop needing one, you just stop expecting one. And that changes everything about how you love. You love carefully. You love with one foot out the door because somewhere in the back of your mind, a 9-year-old is still whispering, "Don't get too comfortable." They'll leave. They always leave. At work, you're the one who stays late, who volunteers first, who says yes when your body is screaming no. Not because you have to, because you can't stop, because rest feels dangerous, because if you stop being useful, you're terrified of what you'll find, that maybe without the doing, there's no you at all. And in friendships, you're the listener, the therapist, the one who asks, "How are you?" but never gets asked back. Psychologist Pete Walker calls this the Fawn response, where your survival strategy is to please, to perform, to prioritize everyone else's needs above your own, not out of kindness, out of fear, that if you stop, they'll leave too. And the exhausting part, you can see it, you know you're doing it, you can name it, but you can't stop, because this pattern kept you alive for so long, your body doesn't know how to let go. But what if the hardest part isn't the pattern itself? What if everyone around you thinks it's a good thing? Here's what no one talks about. Society doesn't just ignore what happened to you, it rewards it. Think about it. A child who never complains, who handles everything, who makes adults feel comfortable. That child gets praised. She's so mature for her age. He's such an old soul. You never have to worry about that one. And those phrases, they sound like compliments, but what they really mean is, this child has learned to suffer quietly, and it's convenient for us. Researchers call this adultification bias. When society treats a child's survival response as a personality trait, as something to admire, instead of something to investigate, you weren't mature, you were surviving, and every adult who praised you for it was benefiting from your pain without even knowing it. This isn't about blame. It's about seeing clearly. The system that failed to protect you is the same system that gave you a gold star for not needing protection. But before we go further, there's something important we need to separate, because not everything about who you became is damage. But here's where we need to be honest. Not everything you built from that pain is a prison. Some of it is genuinely yours. Your empathy real. Your ability to stay calm in chaos. That's not just survival. Researcher Dariadis calls it post-traumatics, growth, strength that formed under pressure. But the part where you can't ask for help, where you feel guilty for resting, that's not strength. That's armor. And there's a difference. This isn't about unlearning everything you are. It's about choosing what to keep and what to finally put down. So, what do you do when you finally see the difference between your strength and your armor? The first step isn't fixing anything. It's grieving. Grieving the childhood you deserved but didn't get. The version of you who should have been playing, not planning. Who should have been protected, not the protector. That grief isn't weakness. It's proof that somewhere inside you, the child who never got to be a child, is still there, still waiting. And here's the part that might be the hardest to hear. Your worth was never about what you could do for others. It was never about being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who holds it all together. You are not less valuable when you rest. You are not less lovable when you need something. Remember that secure base we talked about? That safe place. You never had. Here's what no one told you. You can learn to build one, not by doing more, not by being more useful, but by finally, slowly, gently letting yourself be enough, just as you are, without the armor. And if you're watching this and thinking, this is me, I need you to know something. You're not broken. You were never broken. You were a child who did something extraordinary. You survived, and now you have something most people don't. the awareness to choose differently. If this described your childhood, leave a comment, even just one word, because the person scrolling past your comment needed to read it just as much as you needed to write it. And if you want to understand more about why you are the way you are, subscribe, because this isn't the last conversation we need to have. You spent your whole life scanning the room for everyone else. Maybe it's time to finally look after